Could you do a job for me?
One job. I need cash now. You don't trust me?
A good thief always covers their tracks.
Is there something else going on, Joan?
I'm a thief.
Joan, new episode Wednesday at 9/8 Central on the CW.
This is Bill Belichick. Catch Inside the NFL this Friday at 9, 8 Central on the CW.
Now at 10, a bombshell filing from the Department of Justice alleging stunning new details of Trump's actions following the 2020 election in what prosecutors call his desperate attempt to cling on to power.
Plus, as tensions rise and worries grow of a wider Mideast war, security is being stepped up at Jewish synagogues and houses of worship across the country and here in Southern California.
And a local Catholic church vandalized, spray-painted, and set on fire several times over the past 2 months. The search for the suspects, who police believe are motivated by hate, now on the news at 10. Good evening, I'm Micah Ullman.
And I'm Cher Calvin. Bombshell developments tonight in the election subversion case against former President Donald Trump.
New details, including never-before-disclosed evidence in a filing by Special Counsel Jack Smith outlining what he calls Trump's increasingly desperate bid to overturn the 2020 election. The filing, which was unsealed today, alleges Trump intentionally lied to the public, state election officials, and his own vice president in an effort to cling to power despite knowing he lost the election.
John Finolio is here now with a look at the report that reignites the debate over January 6th, just a little more than a month before the November 5th election. John?
Cher and Micah, the filing is a direct response to the Supreme Court's recent immunity ruling. Now, in this 165-page document, Special Counsel Jack Smith lays out his case against former President Trump, claiming his actions to overturn the results of the 2020 election were not official acts as president, but the plotting of a political candidate, and are therefore not immune from prosecution.
Tonight, Special Counsel Jack Smith introducing new evidence of former President Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Smith arguing Trump's actions were those of a private candidate, not the official acts of a president that are protected by the Supreme Court's July ruling on immunity, and that Trump resorted to crimes to cling to power. Smith writing, at its core, the defendant's scheme was a private one. He extensively used private actors and his campaign infrastructure to attempt to overturn the election results and operated in a private capacity as a candidate for office.
This filing is all about Jack Smith saying, I've read the Supreme Court's decision that said there is broad immunity for presidents and former presidents from criminal prosecution. But what Jack Smith is saying is that everything he's alleging here is private conduct, and the Supreme Court found that there is no immunity for private conduct.
Smith filed the 165-page sealed legal brief last week. U.S. District Court Judge Tanya Chutkin released a redacted version late Wednesday. The special counsel also accuses Trump of knowing his fraud claims were false because he continued to make those claims even after his close advisors, acting not in an official capacity but in a private or campaign-related capacity, told him they were not true. According to the filing, in November 2020 after the election, at a private lunch, then Vice President Mike Pence tried to urge Trump to accept the results and run again in 2024. Trump allegedly replied, I don't know, 2024 is so far off. And according to the filing, on January 6, 2021, after Trump's claims of widespread election fraud had been debunked, the former president directed an angry crowd of supporters to the United States Capitol to obstruct the congressional certification. Video of the insurrection showed rioters storming the Capitol after Trump told them at a rally to, quote, fight like hell. Some in the angry mob shouted, quote, hang Mike Pence. In the filing, Smith says that, when told by a White House staffer his vice president was in danger, Trump allegedly replied, so what?
I didn't rig the election. They rigged the election. Deranged Jack Smith is a prosecutor who was put there in order to screw up the election for the Republican Party.
Mr. Trump pleaded not guilty last year to federal election interference charges. It's now up to U.S. District Court Judge Chutkin to determine whether she believes Trump has immunity in the allegations outlined in this superseding indictment. A decision is not expected before Election Day. If Trump wins the election, he will have the authority to order the Justice Department to dismiss the criminal case against him. Back to you.
Thank you, John. Now to a live look outside and your weather picture tonight. From the mountains to the metro area, record-breaking heat waves scorching Southern California. And the dangerously hot conditions are not over yet. Meteorologist Vera Humeta is tracking the temperatures for us. Vera?
Oh, no, we had more record heat this afternoon. Those numbers finally came in. Before we get to that, let's go ahead and take a live look outside towards the coastal basin where it's beautiful out there. There's a little bit of haze off in the distance because once again, tomorrow morning, and in fact already tonight, that marine layer is beginning to develop. So let's talk about the heat. Take a look at this map. It's very brightly colored, which means that we are going to see widespread heat across the region. From as far north as Paso Robles through Santa Barbara into Ventura, Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside, and San Bernardino. The last of these is due to expire Thursday at 8 p.m., but the excessive heat watch, which is the least risky of all of them, is due to expire at 8 p.m. on Monday. And that's because we're still going to see some lingering temperatures. As we take a look at the heat for this afternoon, Woodland Hills hit 111. That was not a record, but we did get some record heat. Palmdale, 105, beat the old record of 104. Lancaster, 104, the old record 101. Lake Elsinore, 110, the old record 101. And by the way, Big Bear, 84 degrees today. That is also a new record, but it's not old. It's not breaking an old record. It's just tying the old record. So this will be the new date on record for Big Bear. We also have a fire weather warning, which is exactly the same as a red flag warning. And this also has to do with all of the heat that we have in play. We still have very low humidity in some areas. Those percentages are dropping into the single digits. So again, the heat combined with those dry fuels, the heat in those dry fuels, again, is conducive for rapid growth and spread. And that's why we have a red flag warning in those areas. Okay, we'll take a look at the rest of the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. For now, though, I'll send it back to you guys.
Vera, thank you. Tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate tonight as Israel assesses the damage caused by Iran's missile attack and weighs its response. The barrage of missiles is seen as a major provocation, sending millions of Israelis scrambling to shelters and causing panic across the Jewish state.
And tonight, the U.S. is recognizing Israel's right to respond, but urging leaders to take a measured approach. Sandra Mitchell live in the Ktla News Center with more on a very tense situation. Sandra.
Micah, it really is. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting with his top military and security advisors as Israel now plans its response to yesterday's massive attack. Tonight, there are new fears the escalation could push the Middle East closer to a regional war. One day after Iran launched nearly 200 missiles aimed at Israel, President Biden cautioning Israel not to strike nuclear sites in Iran.
The answer is no.
The president says he is deeply concerned about the escalation and has spoken to G7 world leaders.
We'll be discussing with the Israelis what they're going to do, but all 7 of us agree that they have a right to respond, but they should respond in proportion.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu already plotting revenge against Tehran. In the past few weeks, Israeli forces have gone after enemy targets in Lebanon and could strike an Iran nuclear facility next.
We have made very clear that this